Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Let's take a look at what we're discussing. First of all, we tell you that there have been certain changes in the legislation as far as the ICC is concerned, and there's a lot on the table. Now, India's model of dominance seems to be hampering the cause of cricket and the spirit of the game. The new rules or the new legislation suggests that India would be getting 40% of the revenues from the ICC, which of course is something that has really hampered the cause of cricket for some. And we all know that that dominance and that RSS mindset or that Hindutva agenda that overshadows BCCI at current with Jay Shah at the helm of affairs is something that is very, very deplorable. So I think all in all, it's not just us. Even on the brink of the Ashes, a lot of people said that Australia, England, India need to do more for the cause of cricket. What they're doing right now is really damaging it throughout the world. That diversity, inclusivity is all at threat as far as this model is concerned. So we'll talk about that in detail, and then of course we move on to ever so ceremonious Ashes. The way it has ended could not be, I think, better than that as well. But before that, we've got some very important news to share, and that is that sources have told us that the Pakistan-India game of the ICC ODI World Cup 2023 to be held on the 15th of October has now been rescheduled and will be held on the 14th of October as well. So we'll tell you about that. But also, Pakistan is due to play Afghanistan in the 3 one-day internationals that take place in Sri Lanka. This will be a series in Sri Lanka where the two teams will participate, 22nd, 24th and the 26th of August, where these 3 one-days take place. So very important as far as the World Cup preparations are concerned. And then of course we move on to the ever so ceremonial Ashes, where it's been a fairy tale for Stuart Broad. He's called it curtains on his career along with Moeen Ali, but him taking the final wicket and winning the test match, not the Ashes, of course disappointing, because I think if there was anyone who deserved the Ashes more in this series, it would be Manchester. So I think that weather really did it for England. Otherwise it was a game, I think we've talked about this as much as we could on the show, that had it not been those mistakes England made in those first 2 test matches, they would have been in a better position. Then they won a test match, then Manchester, that weather was unforgiving, cost them that test match, that ended in a draw, end up winning up the final one. But if you analyze the situation, this, and I was discussing this with a friend the other day as well, this Australian team under Pat Cummins, in the circumstances in which they evolve right now, you can talk about T20 cricket, you can talk about one-day international cricket, you can talk about test cricket. This looks like the most invincible side in the world right now. And I don't know why people are not considering this. Australia in the ODI World Cup is going to be a very, very quality side under Pat Cummins. So the character that they have shown, the way they've tackled the terminology or the ideology of baseball, they've stuck to their roots. Mitchell Starc ending up with the bowler of the series or the player of the series for Australia as far as this Ashes is concerned. Absolutely superb for them this summer, picking up 23 wickets in this match. Usman Khwaja, somebody who was never in form, given a chance in the Ashes, becomes a top run scorer. David Warner finding some form. Pat Cummins brilliant. Nathan Lyon, of course, injury hampered his cause. Josh Hazlewood, you can talk about everybody involved. They've been brilliant as far as this series is concerned. So we'll talk all about that in detail as well. Time now to introduce the guests. First of all, in studios, we've been joined by a cricket expert and somebody who analyzes the game very well. We're going to be talking to him regarding all the developments in the world in cricket. Rizwan Haider. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Thank you.
Great to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket analyst and expert Sabir Hussain. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm fine, thank you.
Great to have you as well. Now, first of all, Rizwan, this model that has been presented, 40% revenues to India now. We already know they're the richest cricket board in the world. That cannot be changed right now. But the fact is that it's not us. Now, many have claimed that it is really hampering the cause of cricket in the world.
Well, I'm sure you've heard the famous saying, with great power comes great responsibility, and that's what India needs to.
Well, who was this great individual who said this?
I think that was Spider-Man.
Peter Parker?
But yes, Peter Parker, but it makes sense. It's actually very logical. It's surprising that India thinks that by claiming all the money and the rights and all the influence that it has, it will make a difference in the actual in the actual results of the game. That hasn't happened. India has been very, very successful in manipulating the ICC. in claiming the revenues, with India getting 38% last term, and Pakistan, England, and Australia, I think the total was not even 20%, the total that they got, the share that they got. But end of the day, what matters for me is results. They can keep doing that, but they can't finish cricket out of Pakistan or England or Australia or even the smaller nations. The gap is getting narrower. India at one time were pretty good under Virat Kohli and Dhoni, but again now you've seen with Rohit as captain, India has not been performing that well. And you can have all the influence in the world, but Pakistan, England, Australia are still superpowers. Australia are the current Test Championship holders. Australia are the, I think, one day international as well. T20 was won by Australia. So New Zealand has been playing really well. And India has been nowhere in the top winning, they haven't won the Champions Trophy, they haven't won any other tournaments. So they can keep having that influence with the IPLs and all that. But for me, cricket matters, takes precedence. And India has not showed the results that way.
Well, there is no doubt that on a performance perspective, they're really going down as a team. And even former great Indian cricketer and captain, World Cup winning captain Kapil Dev has also mentioned this pertinently, that what he thinks is that certain players amongst this new Indian side or this current Indian side have some sort of nonsense arrogance amongst them, that they think that they're better than anyone. He said when you've got the likes of Sunil Gavaskar alongside you or around you, you can definitely go and ask what is wrong and take advice. But that's not been happening. So Sabir, clearly there is a problem. As far as this financial model is concerned, obviously it's going to hamper the cause of cricket and diversity. But India on the performance perspective as well is a question mark.
Absolutely. I want to, go back a couple of, decades ago. It was basically started, in my opinion, Jagmohan Dalmia, because Indian cricket, when BCCI, cricket board as well, they were basically, they used to struggle as far as, their financial strength were concerned. The performance of the Indian team were concerned, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s as well. But Jagmohan Dalmia, he played a major role as far as BCCI financial models are concerned. Then obviously the IPL in 2008 basically. That basically changed the cricketing world as far as the financial amount, the money in the cricket is concerned. Most of the cricketers were attracted also from Pakistan as well. So the history suggests basically the Indians were basically had some conspiracies as far as in subcontinent against the Sri Lankans, against Pakistanis as well. But heads off to Australian team, because if you talk about the performance, then the financial distribution model should be made as far as the performance concerned. I think Australians deserve more. I think more than the Indians. But again, Indians basically they have been dominating their their media rights as well, their cricketing board, their relationship, especially because of their financial strength. So that basically ICC is on the back foot only because of their financial strength. But yes, I think there should have been the rules should have been made. The England Cricket Board, and also we still remember the big three as well: England, Australia, and India as well. What about other cricketing boards? South Africa, West Indies, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand as well. In fact, they had their own problems. West Indian Cricket Board, South African Cricket Board, even the Sri Lankan Cricket Board as well. They were basically struggling. Their corruption charges within the board as well, their players as well. So that basically, took them on the back foot. That's why the Indians are basically dominating on the world only because of their financial strength.
Discussing this further now, we've been joined by sports expert Umar Khan. Assalamu alaikum, Umar. How are you?
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me.
Umar, what would you like to say now? This new financial model, 40% revenues from the ICC go to India. But on the other hand, we have a conundrum where we see performance-wise they're slumping. They don't want to play Pakistan anywhere in the world. Things are certainly not on their side.
It's just that you can't just say that they have been unlucky. It's just that the success has got too much onto their head. Ever since the IPL started, the only ICC tournament India has won is the 2013 Champions Trophy. And since Dhoni has left, I think they're struggling with the captaincy as well. Fine, they had their little success with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, but that was against minor teams. And if you see in the recent past, they have been performing very poorly in ICC events. When they play on the flat tracks, they're very good. But when they play on some tricky positions, even against the minors. Recently, West Indies beat them with over 10 overs to spare. That is like that happened after like 14 years. So they are struggling quite a lot, and it's just that they are way too overconfident. Ever since that Hardik Pandya statement that we can have 3 teams and our B team and C teams can also win tournaments, they have not even made it to the finals of any tournament. So I think it's the big mouth that has caused them, and it's just that overconfidence. It reminds me of the rabbit and tortoise race. So I think India has to get to the table and start working hard rather than just uh, performing and big mouthing as well.
Certainly, Rizwan, politics and nonsense aside, India as a team, as far as the cricket perspective is concerned, have got a very strong structure. Let's be honest, Ranji Trophy, then the way their players are groomed, they're very mature as far as cricketers are concerned. It takes me back to the model or the era of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and let's be honest, no doubt one of the best captains in the world as far as captains are concerned. The way he evolved that team, the mindset change, bringing in players, creating probably the strongest Indian side that we've seen in decades. There's a lot to his credit. Do you feel that that system that was supposed to be then that legacy carried by Virat Kohli trying to achieve something similar has now come to not just a stop but a slump where it's diving very deeply?
It certainly has. And I think the problem is the structure. India is based on, like Pakistan, I'm not going to say Pakistan is not, based on individuals. Individual leaders, individual performances, they don't play as a team. They've never have. Dhoni was exceptional as a leader, but before that there was,
Right. We're just going towards a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.